Hello, I'm John Adams, editor of Digital Photo, and welcome to this video lesson which is all about how you can stack layers together from different shots to create stunning lighting effects. Now it's easier to show you what I mean rather than tell you what I mean, so what we're going to start with is this rather auspicious looking still life shot. Now I think you'll agree it's not the best we could possibly get. A drop of rosé in a 70s goblet stuck on a worktop in a kitchen. Not perfect, but maybe we could turn it into something a bit more interesting. Maybe something like that. Now if we look at the lighting in this picture, we've got top lighting giving this effect here, this beam. We've got some backlighting caused by a spot on the background. We've got side lighting from both sides. And of course we've got a swirl of painting with light done with a naked torch bulb. Now that's pretty involved lighting and takes a lot of skill and a lot of lights to get it spot on. But if we were to break it down and perhaps just start with the top lighting, we'd have something like that. Then of course we could have the side lighting from one side, then the side lighting from the other side, then of course the spot on the background, and finally the painting with light effect. And if you could shoot all those individually in that way, and then perhaps stack them together in any combination you saw fit to get the creative effect you were after, wouldn't that be brilliant? Well, you can do it in your kitchen with a glass of wine and a humble torch. That's all you need. Provided you have your DSLR or a Creative Compact locked off on a tripod and set to its manual exposure mode, you can do this too, really easily. The exposure I used for all of these was 4 seconds at f11 with ISO 100. Locked the whole thing off on a tripod and just took shot after shot, waving a torch about at the subject. Lighting from behind on the right hand side, behind on the left hand side. Top lighting from above, and of course some spotlighting behind. For that spotlighting, what you need to do to get this kind of effect, which is almost like a silhouette, all you need to do is shine the torch over the subject, so you don't actually light the subject, you just light the background, and because it's translucent, it all comes through in that rather nice effect. So once your shoot's over, what you then need to do is get all of these pictures into a layers stack. And if I bring my layers palette on screen, you can see what that involves. Here it is, here's all our various bits and bobs. There's our first image there, the top lighting, left side lighting, right side lighting, there's the back lighting or the spot effect, and of course the swirly painting with light to finish off. And then you can combine them all together however you see fit. It's brilliant. How does it work? Let's find out. I'm just going to close this down, get it out the way, and then we can start from scratch so you can see exactly what goes on. Now this works in Elements or in Photoshop, whichever software you have. I've got Elements 8 I'm using here at the moment. All I'm going to do is go up to File, Open, and on the disk you'll find the glass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images there. What you need to do is click on the first one, hold Shift, click on the last one, that selects all of them, and then just hit Open. Now it'll take a little time to process, but you'll end up with all the images open on screen. Now if your screen doesn't look like this, pop up to Window, choose Images, and then you need Tile or Cascade or Floating Window, whichever one of those you like. Cascade is quite handy. I'm going to click on that. In the full version of Photoshop it's called Window Arrange Cascade rather than Window Images Cascade. But with the Cascade view you're probably still obscured at the moment, but what we need to do is just shrink these down to size a bit. Easy way to do that, hold down Control and Alt and then just tap the minus key sort of 2-3 times. Move that to one side, click on the next image, Control Alt, minus, and there we're just going to whiz through all the images so they're all at a much smaller size and are easier for us to move around and know where we are. Right, I've tapped some 4 times, they're a different size, but it doesn't matter. There we go. Now we have all our pictures. What we want to do is get the first picture, which is glass1.jpg, and just move it to one side of the screen. We'll move it over to the left, just so it's out the way. We're now going to look at the others, and one by one we're going to drag these pictures into the main image here, glass1. So, all we have to do is select the Move tool, which you can do by hitting the key V. Just hit V on the keyboard, and that's the shortcut for the Move tool. Then all we do is click on glass2, hold down the Shift key and drag it in. And you see the icon change to a plus sign when you cross the threshold. Let go of the mouse there and it will go in right in register. By holding the Shift key you get it bang in the middle, so it will be in exactly the right place. And of course because we're on a tripod and everything's locked off, we'll line up perfectly. Right, once glass 2 is into the glass 1 image, close it down. There we go. We're just going to hit the X to shut it down. And now we need glass 3. So we pick glass 3, click on that to select it. And then with the move tool again, hold down Shift and drag it in, let go of the mouse. Close it down. Find glass 4, there the chap is. Right, click on it to make sure it's selected. Hold down Shift, drag it in, let go. Close it down. Then we get to glass 5, this one here. Move tool selected, of course. Hold down Shift, drag it in, let go, close down. Then the next one, glass 6, this is our final image. Make sure it's selected. Hold down the Shift key and then drag it in and close it down. Now there we go. I'm just going to double click the hand tool to get that up full screen. And though we can only see the last image we put in, if we open the Layers palette by going to Window and choosing Layers, there they all are. We've got the background, our original one, and if we just switch off these layers using the visibility icons, there's our background. There's the first shot, which was the top lighting. There's the second one, which is the side lighting. There's the third one, which was the other side lighting, and the back lighting, layer 4, and finally the swirly bit of torchlight, layer 5. So they're all stacked together, but what we need to do now is change the blending mode on each of these layers so the lighting effects we have can show through without affecting anything else. Now to do that, all we have to do is click where it says Normal here. This drop-down menu will appear and we choose Lighten, the Lighten blending mode from this list. Click on that for layer 5 and you'll see layer 4 shows through. Select layer 4 now, make it active, do the same thing again, choose the Lighten blending mode and we can see layer 3 showing through. Click on layer 3 and you get the picture. Keep on selecting that Lighten blending mode for all of the layers until you get to the first one, layer 1. And that'll show through our original background. Now this background one here, we're not actually going to use that. We've just got that as an example of our starting point. So what you need to do is make sure you've got a layer there, but we fill it with black. A nice easy way to do that is to hit D on the keyboard. That's D for default. That sets your foreground and background colors to the default black and white. And then all we need to do is hold down the Alt key and hit backspace. And that will flood fill that background layer. Let's look at it there. It'll flood fill it with black. So we've killed the image behind that and just filled it with pure black. And that makes our blending modes work right the way through each and every layer. So now we can switch them on and off however we see fit or blend them together to get all those wonderful effects. And that's the next stage of this technique. You just have to decide which lights you're going to use. Now let's just move this a little bit to one side. Well, I definitely want layer 5. Let's start there. Quite a nice image on its own, actually, just that top layer with the swirl of light. And I also want the side lighting. Let's have a look at those. That's layer 2. That's a nice bit of side lighting there. And really, with that highlight there and the swirl of light, that's probably enough. But of course it depends on your own image, what you've done, and you may want layer 3 as well. That's making the wine look a bit cloudy in that one, so I'm going to switch off layer 3. I do like the spot effect from layer 4, that little bit of light coming through. That's rather nice. So I think, let's just try layer 1. I don't think I need the top lighting, there's enough going on here. So I've got those 3 layers selected now. Layer 2, the side lighting to give that nice highlight and show some of the rim of the glass. Then I've got layer 4, which is the spot behind the subject, the lighting on the background, and of course the swirly layer 5 as well with the light streaks coming through. Now if you wanted to turn any of those lights down, to dim the faders so to speak, all you need to do is to select the affected layer, let's say it's layer 2 we're going to choose, and then just pick the opacity here and move the slider down. And that will reduce the power of the lighting on that particular layer. And you can see there it's changing. All depends on the image and what kind of effect you're trying to create, but that does give you an option to actually reduce the effect. Now I'm going to leave mine up to full pelt, up to 100% on all of the layers, because I like the lighting effects being as they were shot. And that's looking rather splendid. And if you do remember that original shot there, that awful background image shot with the natural lighting in the kitchen, that's much, much better. Now one final thing we're going to do, just to finish off, we're going to click on the top layer up here, layer 5, and we're going to create a new adjustment layer. That's this black and white icon here. Click on that, and from the list, choose Hue Saturation. That'll launch an adjustment layer for the Hue Saturation palette. Now what we're going to do is tone the image. So let's just pull that over to here. There we go. we're going to take the hue slider and we're going to ramp it all the way up to 180 to get that nice sort of blue and purple tone. So we've actually inverted or reversed the image by doing that. We're also going to increase the saturation on this just to punch up the volume of the colour. There we go, up to about 25 should do the trick, something like that. Once you've done that, if you're using Elements 8 or one of the later Photoshop CS4 or CS5, then you can just leave that adjustment layer alone. If you're using an earlier version like CS3 or before that, then you just need to click OK to that adjustment. Right, with that done, I'm just going to close that adjustment down to get it out of the way. We're now going to use this layer mask that's part of the adjustment layer. And to do that, all we've got to do is select a paintbrush. Because remember, this adjustment layer is at the top of the stack, it's affecting everything beneath it, but we can switch it on and off. So if we were to punch a hole in this adjustment layer, we would show through what was underneath. And we're going to do that using this mask. So we pick up the brush, and then in the options bar, just check that your opacity is up to 100%, and check you've got a nice soft edge brush. I don't know, something like, we'll go for about 35 pixels, soft edged. Oh, actually that's very small. So I'm going to increase the brush size using the right hand square bracket key. There we go. Up to about 150 pixels. That should do the trick. Then what I'm going to do is just paint into this area here. And you can see there, we are punching a hole in the adjustment layer. That's the sort of thing. Just punching that hole through to reveal that nice reddish colour of the rosé wine. That's doing the trick. And you can see in the mask there, this black area, that's the hole. That's the kind of cutout you're making to allow everything else to shine through from underneath. So we're just going to refine that slightly, just get a nice effect. Now if you want to be really meticulous with this kind of effect, you'll notice that we've actually painted over this streak coming through. So the streak's got kind of a blue tinge to it up to this point, and then it gets sort of a red tinge to it. If you wanted to be critical, all you need to do is zoom in tight on that particular area, and then we need to kind of blue up this area. So let's go back to our brush. Just make sure we've got that edge just as we want it. That's the kind of thing. Need a little bit of blueness in there. Just holding down the space bar to move around and scroll around the screen. That's it. Now if you wanted to add a hint of blue back to that, all you need to do is put a white line through that black area there. At the moment, the white area of this layer mask means use the information in the adjustment layer. And the black area means ignore it. Allow anything underneath to show through. So if we paint a white strip along here, we're going to use the information from the adjustment layer, which gives us this blue tinge. So we'll swap to white. Nice easy way to do that. You can either click this double-headed arrow or you can just hit X on the keyboard. That gives us white. Smaller brush size using the left square brackets key. Then we can just gently paint back in that hint of blueness through there. I've gone a bit wobbly there, but that's the sort of thing. You'll take a bit more time when you're doing it for real. You can see there we can bring that blue back. And if it's looking a bit too aggressive, we can just swap back to black. Maybe reduce the opacity a bit to just take it down a touch. Then we'll just soften that edge using kind of a half-up black, a bit of grey in there, just to soften the edge and give a true blue effect running through that part of the image. And that's the beauty of using layer masks with the adjustment layers, is they're very, very, very flexible, very adjustable in fact. So you can go back and change this whenever you like, as long as you leave that mask intact. That's the sort of thing. That gives us our nice blue area. Now we can just further refine that. This edge is looking, it's kind of glowing slightly from the original picture underneath. So I'm just going to swap back to white, get white up there, and then paint in this part here, just to really get a good edge on the whole thing. That's it. Spacebar to scroll round. And there we have it. That's just about done the trick. So we've got a nice seamless effect across the wine. A bit too much blue there. That's it. Constantly adjusting the mask there. Lovely. That's done the job. Double click the hand tool to go back out to full screen, and there's a fantastic final image that's a long, long way from that rather sketchy starting point. Hope you enjoyed that. Give it a whirl with the images glass 1 to glass 6 on the disc, and once you've got the hang of the technique, give it a try with your own pictures. Set up your camera, lock off the exposure, wave a torch about long into the small hours, and see what you can cook up. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.